Chosen one, they are stunned by the cold finality with which you shattered their ego. Right now, someone is staring at their phone screen, refreshing your social media profiles obsessively, trying to decode the silence you've weaponized against them. But here's what they don't understand yet. You didn't just cut them off, you performed the most elegant power move in human psychology. You made yourself untouchable while they made themselves obsessed. You've become the immovable object that their unstoppable force of manipulation finally met, and the collision revealed your true nature as a force of absolute dominance. Today you'll understand why their obsession with you is evidence of your superiority, why their rage is proof of your power, and why the cold silence they're drowning in is the sound of your complete victory. The whispers have begun. They're telling anyone who will listen about your supposed cruelty, but every word they speak only proves how deeply you've embedded yourself in their consciousness. What you're about to discover will shatter every assumption you've held about power dynamics in human relationships. The person sitting across from you in restaurants, the colleague making small talk, the family member asking innocent questions, they've all heard the stories. Your name has become legend in their circles, spoken in hushed tones like an urban myth come to life. They've turned you into folklore, the cautionary tale they tell about what happens when someone finally says enough with biblical authority. Something magnificent happened when you severed ties without a second thought. You vanished like smoke, leaving them grasping at empty air where your presence used to be. Their emotions have become a roiling storm that never settles inside them, a relentless surge of anger and resentment, churning like an unstoppable river that only grows wilder with each thought of you. Here's the first revelation. Their storm isn't random weather. It's the natural response of a system that has lost its primary source of energy. You were their emotional power plant, their validation generator. When you shut down operations, their entire psychological infrastructure began failing catastrophically. Every moment they fixate on you, the flames of their bitterness flare higher, consuming any chance of calm. Their consciousness has become a furnace, an inferno fueled by relentless envy and grudges, casting shadows across their days and coloring their every action with reckless disdain. Yet while they burn in the fire of their own making, you remain as steady as stone, your peace untouched by the storm they've created. You are the silent mountain standing unyielding against the ferocious winds that howl around it, solid in your core and unshaken by their fury. They may throw daggers of hate, but they fall short, harmless against the shield of your equanimity. But here's what makes this even more powerful. While they're consumed by thoughts of you, you've forgotten they exist. The space in your mind they once occupied has been filled with dreams, goals, and connections that actually add value to your existence. This asymmetry drives them to madness. They think about you constantly while you think about them never. You are beyond their reach, far above their grasping need to pull you into the chaos swirling in their soul. You've seen the chaos they carry, and you refuse to let it touch you. This isn't ignorance, this is conscious choice. You've developed what ancient warriors called the way of the empty hand, where power comes not from what you grasp, but from what you refuse to hold. Their obsession is a poison they drink daily, expecting it to harm you, but you're untouchable in your peace. They want you to feel the bitterness they do, to descend into their realm of discord, but you stand firm in your own realm of calm. Here's the second revelation. What they're experiencing isn't heartbreak, it's narcissistic collapse. When someone builds their entire identity around being able to affect others, your immunity to their influence represents an existential threat to their self-concept. They're not mourning the loss of your relationship, they're mourning the loss of their ability to control you. Their volatile emotions, so violently thrown in your direction, dissolve before they can even reach you, as if the air around you is too pure to carry their malice. You've developed antibodies against their toxicity, and now their attempts at manipulation roll off you like water off a duck's back. You've removed yourself, erected walls that even the fiercest storms cannot breach. Your silence is a fortress, one that protects you and keeps them at bay, impenetrable and resolute. The bridges that once connected you have been burned to ash, and you stand far beyond the reach of their anger. Each attempt they make to get close is met with the cold finality of your absence. They try desperately to scale the walls you've built, but they are left grasping at shadows, their hands clutching only empty air where once there was connection. This isn't cruelty, this is military strategy. Here's the third revelation. Silence is not the absence of communication, it's the presence of dominance. Every day you don't respond is a demonstration of your superior position in this psychological warfare they initiated. You've chosen peace over chaos, and in this silence you have discovered a vast expanse of calm. Your boundaries are set in stone, and their frustration is a wave that crashes against the cliff of your resolve, only to be shattered and drawn back into the depths where it belongs. While they exhaust themselves, throwing themselves against your walls, you're building an empire in the space they used to occupy. Your energy, no longer diverted to managing their chaos, flows freely into projects, relationships, and dreams that actually deserve your attention. The most beautiful part, you're not even trying to make them jealous or prove a point. You're simply living your authentic life, and that authenticity is so radiant, so genuine, that it makes their manufactured drama look pathetic by comparison. Every success you achieve, every moment of genuine happiness you experience, every authentic connection you make serves as evidence of what your life looks like when it's not being drained by emotional vampires. You know they are seething, thrashing against the reality that they no longer have a hold on you. They are trapped in a cycle of resentment, shackled by their own inability to let go, while you remain untouched, elevated above their turmoil. Their desperate need for a reaction is met with the steady quiet of your absence. Your boundaries are like steel, tempered by the decision to prioritize your own well-being, and with each attempt they make to provoke you, they only encounter the echo of their own frustration. Here's the fourth revelation. You've become a mirror that reflects nothing back to them, and this silence is their greatest torment. They rage against it like a storm that flails against a mountain, knowing that no matter how violently they thrash, they cannot move you. The frustration that eats away at them is their burden to bear alone. You've risen above it, anchored in your own peace, while they remain stuck in the mire of their own making. Your boundaries are not just barriers, they are a declaration that you will not be drawn back into their chaos. The transformation you've undergone since cutting them off is nothing short of alchemical. Where once you operated from accommodation and people-pleasing, you now move through the world with the confidence of someone who has faced their deepest fears and emerged victorious. Every morning you wake up without their chaos poisoning your mental atmosphere is a morning where your true self can breathe freely. The energy you once spent managing their emotions has been redirected toward building the life you actually want to live. This energy redirection is visible to everyone around you. Your renewed vitality is unmistakable. Here's the fifth revelation. You didn't lose anything valuable when you cut them off. You recovered something precious they had been slowly stealing from you. Your authentic self, your natural joy, your instinctive trust in your own judgment, all of these qualities had been dimming under their influence like stars hidden by clouds. Now those clouds have cleared, and your light shines with an intensity that attracts different kinds of people into your orbit. The relationships forming in your life now are based on mutual respect and genuine appreciation for who you are, rather than what you can provide. They watch this transformation from their position of exile, and it drives them deeper into obsession. They cannot understand how you could be better without them when they are worse without you. This asymmetry is proof of who was giving and who was taking in your dynamic. Meanwhile, they've wrapped themselves in a cloak of falsehoods, attempting to mask the darkness within by crafting illusions and wearing the guise of integrity and warmth. They're hoping to mimic the radiance you naturally exude, but despite their carefully constructed front, the truth seeps through like cracks in an ancient wall. They are a hollow echo of the qualities they pretend to possess, projecting an image that lacks any real substance. They fabricate virtues they do not own, trying to convince others and perhaps even themselves that they are something more than shadows dancing on the wall of their own deception. But their facade crumbles under the weight of scrutiny, especially when contrasted with your authenticity that starkly highlights their empty charade. Here's the sixth revelation that exposes the full scope of their psychological imprisonment. They are not just copying your external behaviors, they are trying to reverse engineer your inner peace, your natural confidence, your effortless ability to attract positive people and situations. They study your social media like religious texts, looking for the secret formula that makes you magnetic while they remain repulsive to healthy individuals. You stand firm, rooted in who you are, with a heart that pulses with empathy, honesty, and an unwavering positivity that cannot be faked. Your light is not an act, not a mask you wear, it is the core of your being. Your empathy extends beyond mere words. It is a wellspring that nourishes those around you, a genuine force that cannot be feigned. You carry honesty like a banner, a quality that draws others in and earns their trust without effort. Where they scramble to construct a persona, you simply exist as you are, open, grounded, real. You are unapologetically yourself, and this authenticity is a force that exposes their pretense with laser precision. They are threatened by the light you possess, for it casts shadows upon their deceit. Their bitterness and manipulation wilt under the warmth of your presence as they struggle to maintain their mask. Your positivity, a natural extension of your true self, clashes with their toxic energy, highlighting the stark difference between authentic power and manufactured influence. While you uplift and encourage naturally, they linger in resentment, threatened by the very qualities they seek to imitate, but cannot embody because imitation requires understanding, and understanding requires humility, a quality they've never developed. Your genuineness is a mirror they fear to look into, for it reveals their own deficiencies, their own lack of substance. In the end, your authenticity burns away their falsehoods, exposing their hollow core with the intensity of a spotlight piercing through fog. You do not have to raise your voice, nor do you need to tear them down. Your very existence challenges them, forcing them to confront the emptiness within. With the severance of that tie, the weight you carried has vanished, leaving you unburdened and unshackled. There is a lightness now that fills your days, as if you have shed a heavy cloak of storm clouds that once threatened to consume your natural radiance. Your spirit has expanded, breathing freely in the newfound space they once occupied. No longer tethered to their toxic influence, you stand liberated, with clarity and peace flowing like fresh air through an open window. The grip they once held has loosened, and now you are free to move, to thrive, unimpeded by their shadow that had been blocking your access to opportunities, relationships, and experiences that were always meant to be yours. Meanwhile, they recoil, their ego bruised and raw, struggling to comprehend a world in which they no longer hold sway over anyone who truly matters. They are accustomed to control, to influence, to bending others to their will through manipulation and cunning, but you have shattered that illusion, cutting them off with a decisiveness that leaves no room for negotiation or appeal. They find themselves floundering, unable to regain their footing in this new reality where their usual tools have failed them completely. Their bitterness festers like an old wound torn open by the realization that they no longer possess the power to affect you in any meaningful way. Their anger is a twisted thing, coiled around their insecurities as they grapple with the loss they cannot reverse through their traditional methods of emotional manipulation. They had grown used to being needed, to being relevant, their presence lingering in others' lives like a specter that could never be fully exorcised. But you have banished them with the authority of someone who finally understood their true worth, and now they simmer in a cauldron of their own resentment, unable to fathom how you've moved forward without them, when they cannot move forward without you. The sense of control they once wielded is gone, slipping through their fingers like sand, and they are left with only the emptiness of that loss echoing through every aspect of their daily existence. Their rage is impotent, a tempest confined to a bottle, rattling within but incapable of reaching you or affecting your reality in any tangible way. You, however, have soared beyond their grasp, untethered and thriving in ways they could never have imagined. You found joy in the freedom, savoring the peace that now fills the spaces they once cluttered with chaos. You do not look back because their anger cannot touch you, their resentment cannot mar the tranquility you've claimed. They remain trapped in a prison of their own making, while you have flown far beyond, inhabiting a world where their influence no longer exists. The separation has become your strength, the severance a gift that has set you free. But the true climax comes when you realize they entered your life cloaked in false charm, their true intentions lurking beneath a thin veneer of friendliness designed to lower your defenses. They were drawn to the radiance you naturally exuded, seeing your light as both fascination and threat from the very first moment. From the start, they sought to control, to impose their will on you, hoping to cage the brilliance that made you who you are. Your positive energy was a beacon to them, but not the kind that guides ships safely to shore. It was the kind that attracts predators who mistake brightness for vulnerability. Beneath their surface pleasantries lay a darkness, a desire not to share in your glow but to extinguish it completely. Their attempts to disrupt you were deliberate, an insidious effort to taint your clarity with confusion and doubt. They wished to siphon off your strength, to drain your vitality, so that they might feel superior, feeding off the negativity they tried to sow within your consciousness. But their designs were met with unanticipated resilience. You stood firm, refusing to bend to the weight of their malice, and each attempt they made to undermine you was met with your unwavering light, a strength they could neither comprehend nor penetrate. Your spirit became a mirror that reflected back the emptiness of their own motivations, with such clarity that they could no longer hide from what they had become. Now they seethe, unable to accept their failure to sway you, their resentment festering like a wound that cannot heal. Their intentions were to break you, to manipulate you into a lesser version of yourself. Instead, they find themselves powerless, frustrated by the light they could not extinguish, consumed by envy at your ability to maintain your integrity under pressure. Their resentment is born from the fact that you stood tall in the face of their attempts to diminish you, a fortress they could not breach, despite deploying every weapon in their arsenal. Your light remains undimmed, a constant reminder of their failure, a testament to your strength that grows brighter with each day they spend in darkness. They are left to grapple with their own inadequacies, their hidden motivations now exposed as futile and hollow, while you carry on untouched by their bitterness. The person you were during their influence was like a diamond covered in mud. The value was always there, but the brilliance was obscured. Now that you've washed away their influence, your true radiance is visible to everyone who encounters you. The fact that you stood tall in the face of their attempts to diminish you, a fortress they could not breach, despite deploying every weapon in their arsenal of manipulation, guilt-tripping and emotional terrorism. Your light remains undimmed, a constant reminder of their failure, a testament to your strength and authenticity that grows brighter with each day they spend in the darkness of their own making. They are left to grapple with their own inadequacies, their hidden motivations now exposed as futile and hollow, while you carry on untouched by their bitterness. The person you were during their influence was like a diamond covered in mud. The value was always there, but the brilliance was obscured. Now that you've washed away their influence, your true radiance is visible not just to yourself, but to everyone who encounters you. This visibility is what drives them to madness, because it proves that everything good about you existed independently of them. They live for the storm, craving chaos like others crave air, because drama is their lifeblood. They move through life like a tempest, stirring discord wherever they tread, unbothered by the wreckage they leave behind. To them, relationships are battlegrounds where they can exert control, creating confusion and disarray to keep others ensnared. Now, though, the tables have turned. You've severed the connection, and without a willing participant, they're left to swirl in their own bitterness, obsessed with what they can no longer touch, consumed by an unending need to focus on you, even from a distance. They ruminate on their loss, trapped in a self-imposed prison of resentment, fixated on you because you represent everything they lost when they chose manipulation over authenticity. Without the ability to manipulate or provoke you, their energy has turned inward, festering like a wound that refuses to heal. You, however, have chosen a different path entirely. You have stepped away from the storm, recognizing the futility of engaging with their toxic patterns. You saw the chaos for what it was, a trap designed to keep you small, and decided to protect the sanctuary of your peace with the ferocity of a guardian protecting something sacred. Your decision to distance yourself was an act of preservation, a declaration that their drama has no place in your life, and this declaration has transformed you from participant in their chaos into the author of your own destiny. Now, where once there was tension, there is tranquility. You have reclaimed your space, filling it with calm and purpose, leaving no room for the disarray they sought to bring into your perfectly ordered world. Here's the final revelation that brings us to where we began. Now you understand it from a position of complete dominance. They may continue to obsess, but it is futile. They can no longer reach you. Their bitterness has become their own burden to bear, a weight that grows heavier with each passing day, while you remain untroubled, far from their grasp, beyond the reach of their chaos. By stepping away, you have deprived them of the fuel they once took from your reactions, leaving them to sputter in the emptiness of their own making. You have chosen peace over pandemonium, clarity over confusion, and in doing so you have freed yourself from their web of toxicity. The storm may still rage somewhere in the distance, but it does so without you. Powerless and alone in the wake of your departure, you are the guardian of your own energy, the one who stands at the threshold of your peace and decides who may enter. You've seen the depths of their negativity, their lingering obsession, and yet you remain unshaken because you understand something they never will. True power doesn't come from controlling others, it comes from being uncontrollable yourself. Their shadows cannot penetrate the light you've reclaimed. By fortifying your boundaries, you've not only taken back your power, but also ensured that their toxicity cannot infiltrate your world again. This strength, this clarity, belongs to you alone. It is the armor that shields you from their chaos, an unbreakable barrier that they cannot breach no matter how desperately they try. Now you understand that their shock isn't just about losing you. It's about discovering that they never truly had you in the first place. What they thought was possession was actually permission you granted and then revoked when you realized the true cost of their presence in your life. In choosing to protect your peace, you have declared your worth with actions that speak louder than any words ever could. Your decision to distance yourself from their influence is a testament to the value you place on your own well-being, and this valuation has transformed you from someone who questions their own judgment into someone who trusts it implicitly. You no longer have to bear the weight of their drama because you've developed the strength to refuse delivery when toxicity comes knocking at your door. You are not tethered to their cycles of resentment and turmoil because you've learned to distinguish between love and attachment, between caring and enabling, between empathy and codependency. You are free, standing tall in the sanctuary you've built, where only those who respect and uplift you are allowed to remain. You've demonstrated resilience that would make ancient warriors proud, moving beyond their reach and setting a standard that you will not compromise for anyone or anything. The fortress of your silence stands as a monument to your transformation from reactive victim to proactive creator of your own reality. Your boundaries are not walls that keep love out. They are filters that ensure only authentic love gets in. The bridges you burned behind you weren't connections worth preserving. They were escape routes you needed to eliminate to prevent yourself from retreating back into dysfunction out of habit or false nostalgia. You have claimed your space, free from the stain of their disloyalty, untouched by their attempts to draw you back into the shadows where they dwell. You are unshakable because you know the truth, and that truth has set you free to become the person you were always meant to be before their influence dimmed your natural radiance. Their obsession with you has become the prison where they serve a life sentence of their own choosing, while you have become the architect of your own liberation. Every day they spend fixated on your absence is a day you spend building the future they will never be part of, creating joy they will never share, forming connections they will never understand. You carry a deep well of empathy, chosen one, a force that flows through you like a river, nurturing all it touches. Your ability to understand, to feel, is both profound and powerful, a gift that allows you to connect with others in ways they might never fully comprehend. Yet beneath this compassion lies a core of unyielding strength that they discovered too late to avoid the consequences of their actions. You are not easily deceived because you read people like open books, and your intuition is as sharp as a blade, cutting through falsehoods with precision that would make master swordsmen envious. You see beyond the masks they wear, perceiving the true nature of those who try to obscure their intentions behind performances designed to manipulate your generous heart. Your insight is a light that pierces through the fog of deception, leaving no room for their charades to survive scrutiny. When you encounter duplicity, you recognize it instantly, and you make no apologies for enforcing your boundaries with the authority of someone who has learned that their peace is worth protecting at all costs. Your kindness is not weakness. It is backed by firm resolve to protect your peace from those who would exploit it. You know that true empathy does not mean tolerating toxic behavior. It means recognizing when someone has overstepped and taking swift action to remove them from your space before they can inflict further damage. Once they cross that line, there is no hesitation, no second-guessing, no looking back with regret or wondering if you made the right choice. You cut them off with the precision of a surgeon, severing ties and letting them fall away like dead branches from a tree that has finally learned to prioritize its own growth over accommodating parasites. You protect your heart fiercely, knowing that your peace is sacred and deserves safeguarding from those who seek to disrupt it for their own selfish purposes. You are not burdened by doubt, because doubt is a luxury you can no longer afford. You do not cling to illusions about people's intentions, because illusions are dangerous when your well-being is at stake. Instead, you confront reality head-on, accepting it with clarity and conviction that comes from hard-won wisdom. When someone reveals their true nature, when they betray the trust you've extended or try to manipulate your kindness, you act decisively, because decisive action is the only response that honors both your worth and theirs. You are unafraid to let them go, to walk away and never look back, because looking back would only show you shadows of what never truly existed in the first place. They may try to linger in those shadows, hoping to re-enter your life through guilt, manipulation, or manufactured crises, but you've already shut the door with the finality of someone who understands that some chapters of life are meant to end completely. You are the gatekeeper of your own peace, and you will not allow anyone to diminish it through emotional terrorism, guilt manipulation, or appeals to a loyalty they never reciprocated. Your strength lies in your authenticity, in your willingness to embrace both empathy and the power of boundaries without apology or explanation. You are unshakable because you are rooted in truth. While others may falter, lost in their own deceit, you remain steadfast. You've seen beyond the surface of their performances and chosen unapologetically to protect yourself from those who would use your virtues against you. The Obsidian Inner Order is a sanctuary for those who have walked difficult paths and emerged with wisdom others can't see. We understand that some experiences exist outside the boundaries of what most people consider possible or acceptable to discuss. Every week we gather live on Zoom, real people with real faces sharing real stories without judgment. There's space here for the experiences you've carried in silence, the patterns you've noticed that others dismiss, the intuitive knowledge you've gained through your journey. We don't just listen, we understand. when you're struggling to make sense of your experiences, when you feel gaslit by a world that refuses to acknowledge your reality, you can return to our recorded calls and remember that your perception is valid. Join the Obsidian Inner Order, where your reality is honored and your voice is heard. Link in description. You are both a nurturer and a warrior, unafraid to defend your peace with every ounce of the resilience that resides within you. This combination, compassion backed by strength, empathy reinforced by boundaries, makes you not just unchallengeable, but truly dangerous to those who profit from others' weakness. The cold finality they experience when they reach for you and find nothing is not cruelty, it is consequences. The silence that torments them is not punishment, it is the natural result of their choices catching up with them. The obsession that consumes them is not love, it is the addiction of a user who has lost their supply. You have become untouchable not through building walls, but through understanding your worth, so completely that anyone who cannot recognize it automatically excludes themselves from your world. Your peace is not something you maintain despite their chaos. It is something you create by refusing to participate in their dysfunction. The whispers calling you villain will fade as those who matter recognize the truth written in your energy, your choices, your results. But the lesson you've learned, the strength you've gained, the boundaries you've established, these will remain with you forever, making you immune to future attempts at manipulation and ensuring that only those worthy of your light will ever gain access to it. You are chosen not because you're perfect, but because you have the courage to choose yourself, when choosing yourself requires walking away from everything familiar. You are chosen because you can see through illusion to truth, beyond manipulation to authentic connection, past toxicity to genuine love. You are chosen because when faced with the choice between peace and drama, you choose peace with the decisiveness of a general choosing victory. When faced with the choice between growth and stagnation, you choose growth even when it means leaving others behind. When faced with the choice between your highest good and someone else's lowest behavior, you choose your highest good without apology or explanation. The villain they've painted you to be is actually the hero you were always meant to become. Wear that title with pride because it means you finally learned to value yourself enough to walk away from anyone who couldn't see your worth. That is not villainy, that is victory in its purest form. Their obsession is your testament, their rage is your proof, their inability to move on is your evidence that you made the right choice with surgical precision. You didn't just cut them off, you cut yourself free, and the freedom you've claimed is the foundation upon which you'll build everything that comes next. Chosen one, you are the immaculate villain who saved yourself by refusing to be the perfect victim any longer. That cold finality they're still reeling from, that's the sound of your rebirth, the echo of your transformation from someone who tolerates toxicity to someone who eradicates it without hesitation. The story that began with their shock at your departure ends with your complete understanding of your own power. You are no longer the person who entered their orbit, you are the force that left it forever changed. They will carry the memory of your departure like a scar that reminds them what happens when they mistake kindness for weakness, generosity for stupidity, love for control. Your silence continues to speak volumes, your absence continues to teach lessons, your indifference continues to demonstrate that some people are simply not worth the energy it takes to hate them. You have ascended beyond their reach, beyond their understanding, beyond their ability to affect your reality in any meaningful way. The gossip will fade, the stories will change, the people will move on to new drama. But you will remain exactly where you've positioned yourself, untouchable, unbreakable, and absolutely completely free.